I've made it pretty known by now that Sonic Forces is one of my favorite games in the Sonic series, up there with arguably true masterpieces like Sonic 2 for the Genesis and Sonic Adventure 2. And I've also defended some of the more contentious aspects of the game, namely the gameplay and the story. In fact, I think that if you take away the story, which I've already said is not the best, but it's a literary masterpiece compared to Sonic Lost World's story, which isn't saying much, I think you have a pretty solid game that does a lot of things right. And remember, all of this is my opinion, once again, and you're allowed to disagree with people's opinions. So, beyond what I said last time, why do I love Sonic Forces so much? For starters, one thing the game does right is it encourages you to explore, to break the forward automation that so many people criticize, and I'll admit does exist to an extent. Now, in my review, I said that there was a red ring at the end of Luminous Forest if you pull back on the analog stick after the giant snake section, but actually I was wrong. You can pull back on the analog stick in that section, but it just gets you a few enemies and some extra platforms to go back up toward the goal. Maybe some rings too, I'm not sure. But you wouldn't see this section if you didn't fight against the automation, so credit where it's due. In the same level, just before the snake section, you could boost straight ahead to get there, or you could homing attack on some robots and get a nice shortcut. Since you're going so fast on the main path, due to the automation, or more accurately in this case, just boosting forward, you're likely to just pass right through it and miss getting a faster time. I will admit, the game is extremely linear if you follow the main path, but I don't think it's as automated as it's made out to be. You can find some nice secrets if you stop boosting and look around, and you get some red rings and other collectibles that you wouldn't see otherwise. Aside from that, there's the customization of your avatar character, and there are plenty of options to make them look different. And one of those options, namely species, actively influences gameplay by giving them a special ability. You can become a wolf and be a ring magnet, or a bird and do a double jump even outside the tag team levels to help you get some good S ranks, or get some tight platforming done a bit easier. Plus, once you finish the game, you can create more avatars with the other species and play around with them. Getting S ranks and doing missions in the game, as basic as some of those missions may be, like just boosting or jumping, or finishing a stage, does get you some new weapons to play with if you get tired of the flamethrower, and each weapon also asks the way to harness different wisp powers, and each one can come with some extra perks as well, like extra score or better abilities. So if you didn't enjoy a level the first time around, you might have more fun with a different weapon and different wisp abilities like the hover or the burst. Hover is absolutely busted in my opinion, and it's a lot of fun to mess with, especially if you're playing as the wolf and you can get a crap ton of rings by just flying. Something about that just feels really satisfying in a way I can't really explain. Plus, if you miss not having the boost, the drill comes to the rescue. Just spam the second right trigger to charge it and then blast off. It's just personally really fun to blast through enemies at a breakneck speed in a way that requires more effort and precision than just boosting as Sonic. And if you want to annihilate enemies in an instant, then the Cube, Void, and Asteroid Wisp Bonds have you covered. Now, the wisp abilities you get from them aren't as good as the ones like Lightning, Hover, and Burst, but something about shooting a black hole straight in front of you to suck in robots is just personally really badass. Then there's the fact that for the most part, this game has pretty solid bosses. The only two bosses I didn't have much fun with were the Zavok fight, which feels like a waiting game, and the Avatar vs. Infinite fight, which feels kind of tedious. But other than that, the game's bosses are really fun, and in my opinion, pretty well designed. You have the nostalgia-baiting Egg Crusher from the first Sonic game, which then fakes you out and turns into the Egg Dragoon from Sonic Unleashed, which throws blockets at you that you have to dodge, and then rocks that you can either knock back at it by jumping into them, or rolling through them on the ground. Overall pretty fun. And there's also Sonic's first fight against Infinite, which has you chase after him on a series of tubes like the ones in Sonic Lost World, but it also throws some neat obstacles at you, and if you hit them, you get thrown into a harder version of the level with more obstacles, all while you have to manage your boost power to stay close to Infinite so you can attack him, and make sure you don't miss any wisp castles so that you can keep your boost. And the tag team bosses against Metal Sonic and Infinite are also lots of fun, requiring you to stay close by keeping that boost gauge full, while also dodging obstacles they put in your way. And then there's the final boss, which is arguably a better version of the Egg Dragoon fight, the second Infinite fight, and the tag team fights against Infinite and Metal Sonic in one final challenge. The first time I did this boss level, I struggled so hard on the Avatar section, but I definitely enjoyed this boss sequence. The gameplay of Sonic Forces is by no means the best designed in the series, but if you know how to have fun with it, it's a blast. It's also a consistent quality and pace throughout, and that's one thing that I would say that Sonic Forces actually does better than Sonic Colors, which has so many mandatory slow 2D levels that break the game's pace. There are similar levels in Sonic Forces, but they're all optional and you can unlock them with red rings. In my opinion, they're a lot more fun. All in all, Sonic Forces is a good game, at least to me, that gets a lot of things right, and I understand why a lot of people dislike this game since there are genuine problems and it's not what a lot of people are used to, but overall I think the good outweighs the bad, and if you haven't played Sonic Forces all because people tell you how much it sucks, I'd actually recommend that you try it out. It's only $20 on console, and most of the DLC is actually free, including the episode shadow levels that give you a decent bit of extra challenge, including one level that took me such a long time to get an S rank on. If you enjoyed hearing me out on all this, be sure to press the like button down below, subscribe for more of my content like this, including the occasional stream I might do some point, and check out some more of my content while you're at it. If you become a member of the channel, you can see non-stream videos up to 8 hours before everyone else, along with some other special perks, and it only costs you 99 cents a month. But don't feel obliged, and know that just watching this far into the video is showing me a lot of support on its own. So stay safe, stay awesome, and I'll see you all next time.